Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the pioneer of the Iranian-American stand-up comedy, Eslam Shams.
Gentlemen, if you spend money like crazy when dating an American girl, yet you act like a penny-pinching, cheap-ass bitch, stingy cheapskate when dating a girl from your own country, you might be Persian. If you receive welfare checks under 4 social security numbers, yet you complain about life in America, you might be Persian. If your mother is the cause of your divorce from your wife, yes ma'am, it's a fact. I see you, you're shaking your head. You might be Persian. Are you Persian? I knew it! I knew it! If gambling is against your religion, but upon pulling the slot machine handle, you start saying, Bismillah. Which means, in the name of God. Help me, please, God. You might be Persian. If you always complain about life in America, but when you visit your own country, you brag to everyone about how wonderful life is in America, you might be Persian. If you complain about everybody's accent, but yourself, you might be Persian. You had to see this Indian guy at the 7-Eleven store. I could not even understand one word of what he was saying. You might be Persian. If you get caught by the police for jaywalking, you warn the police, I will see you in court, and you show up with 10 different disability letters from doctors who speak your language, you might be Persian. If you apply for a job at the 99-cent store just so you can get a 50% discount when you shop at the 99-cent store, you... Oh my God, you might be Persian. If you border on being materialistic, you might be LA Persian. If you go to a play and under your seat resembles a parrot's cage full of pistachio and seed shells, you might be a theater-going Persian. If you wear a Swiss watch, Italian shoes and clothes, French perfume, and drive a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW or a Jaguar, yet you still tell everyone, I am very proud of my country and my heritage, you might be Persian, a confused one. When testifying in court, if it takes you half an hour to answer a yes or no question, you might be Persian. If you act tough with your wife, but you are scared shitless of your mother, even though you are married with 3 children, not only you're Persian, but you also might be an asshole whose balls are in his mother's purse. Despite getting an A in math, if your parents still nag you, why you did not get A+? You are embarrassing us in front of the family. You are just a waste of education. You might be Persian. If you bench press 400 pounds, shave twice a day, but your mother still can yell at you, you might be Persian. If you think self-esteem is the steam that comes out of a person's mouth, you might be Persian. If you show up at 6 p.m. for your 4:30 doctor's appointment, even though the doctor's office closes at 6, you might be Persian. If you tell your friends on the cell phone that you are shopping at Macy's or Nordstrom, when in fact you're rummaging through the clearance rack at TJ Maxx or Ross Dress for Less or Marshall, you might be Persian. If you have had many successful businesses in United States of America, yet you have never filed for income tax return, you might be a cash collecting Persian. If you have had all sorts of fun in America for the past 30 years, then travel to your country to marry a girl, the first question you ask her is, are you still a virgin? You might be a retarded double standard Persian. If you consider America your host country, even though you have lived here longer than you have lived in your own country, you might be Persian. If you have more rugs than floor space, you might be Persian or Max Amini's parents. If your main goal of becoming an American citizen is to get green card for your family members instead of participation in voting system, you might be Persian. If you don't own a house, have no job, but still can afford a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz, you might be Persian. If your wardrobe consists of 3 colors, black, and more black, you might be Persian. If your parents say you are becoming Americanized anytime you get into trouble, you might be Persian. If you always bring too much luggage to the airport and argue over jarime penalty for the luggage, you might be Persian. If your goal from getting married is to obtain income, you might be Persian. If your eyebrows remind Americans of McDonald's arches sign, you might be Persian. If your parents constantly remind you of halal or haram while they are filling out the application for welfare at the Beverly Hills home, you might be Persian. If you get invited to a dinner and you're told by the host, please be there by 7:30 at the latest, you show up at 10:30 without calling the host, and you're f***ing surprised that dinner is over, and you get f***ing offended they did not wait for you, you might be Persian. If you only wear famous brand clothes and make sure famous brand sign is extremely visible, you are one retarded عقب افتاده Persian. If your actions and behaviors in almost every aspect of your life are synonymous with being a hypocrite, you might be Persian. If you leave your house at the exact time that the event you're going to is supposed to start, no matter how far you live from the place, you are one tardy Persian. If you can go out, have a great night, $1,000 whining and dancing with a guy and have no sex with him, I'm sorry, you might be a gold-digging Persian. If you're taught by your parents, do not share your knowledge with others because they will get ahead of you in your life, you might be Persian. If you buy a cocktail dress from Macy's, attend 4 weddings, and after a month return the dress citing, "My husband tells me I look very, very, very fat in this dress," you might be Persian. In case of a car accident, instead of exchanging insurance information, you get into an argument and beat each other up and cuss at each other's mother and sister, you might be Persian. If you always chant, "Everyone is equal," but you actually believe some are more equal than others, you might be Persian. If you are at the airport carrying 4 pieces of luggage and 8 plastic bags like gypsies and argue with the check-in clerk at the counter about paying penalty because you think plastic bags do not count as carry-on bags, you might be Persian. If you have a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW, Jaguar, Lexus, Tesla with a handicap license plate in front of your house, you might be Persian. If your teenage kids have more knowledge about sex you are one retarded عقب مونده Persian. If you divorce your wife, 5 years later you marry someone else, but still don't let your ex-wife date anyone else because she's got half of your wealth and money, you might be Persian. If you invite your friends over for dinner, order pizza, yet you cook some extra rice just in case, you might be Persian. That's me. If you clog up the bathtub drain with your hair every time you take a shower, you might be Persian. If you insist on wearing brand name clothes and shoes, yet you do not know anything about the culture in the land you're living in, you might be one fresh off the boat Persian. If you always make your friends miss a day of work to come and pick you up or drop you off at the airport, even though it costs much less to get a freaking taxi cab or take the train, you might be Persian. If a Census Bureau officer comes to your door and you claim, "I doesn't speak English, I am just visiting from another country and the owners of this house left for the holidays," you might be Persian. If you live in your country, travel to Turkey to have fun and have vacation, come to America to get rich, but return to your country to die there because no place on earth is like your own homeland, you might be Persian. If you dump your black hair, beautiful neurosurgeon girlfriend slash fiance in a second just to have a chance to sleep with a fat blonde American chick at the Macy's obsession counter, you might be Persian.